And I'm seeing things from the spirit side. That healing is always about healing the soul. And sometimes the soul needs to go home to heal. When we look at the lives of people, their physical forms, their physical experiences, and we try to heal that, that's not where it's at. It's with the soul. And sometimes the soul just needs to go home to realign its energy. Sometimes it's like when we were at the black hole. These are all things I was seeing last night. The black hole, that light can't escape. It's like it becomes so dense. The inner voice becomes so dense. The darkness of the um, dark web you weave for yourself becomes so dense you can't even escape it. No light can escape it. It's more and more dense until you just need to go back. You need to go for a reset. It's kind of like my wash machine, my new wash machine with the digital thing. It keeps getting stuck on, I can't program it because it gets stuck on soak and it won't, and the lid closed and it won't do anything. So I have to unplug it and reset it, which is very annoying, but that's what I have to do. And it is very, very annoying. I don't know if I put maybe I put one of those, what do they call it? Current protectors in there so that it doesn't react if the current fluctuates. Maybe that's affecting the digital in the washer. I don't know. But anyway, it's sort of like that you have to get unplugged and plug back in again. And that involves going back home. Whether you do that while you're still in your physical form or whether you have to leave your physical form to do it. And of course, what we've been talking about is being in a situation where it would be easier to go back home without having to fight it. And so, as much so that you could stay in physical form and still go back home periodically to reset. Essentially, when you go back to beginner's mind, you're resetting the programming, right? Sometimes the rhymes on the glass are too strong for the drink, you see. And the drink always tastes a little bitter to you. And sometimes the rhyme is not strong enough, and the drink always tastes a little lacking in substance to you. And so the rhyme on the glass has to be aged trust on God energy. An aged trust on God energy is that you can be in the physical reality, but never forget that the soul is the final arbiter of the energy that is either functioning coherently on earth or has gotten so confused that it has refused to function at all. It cannot function at all until it gets a reset. So that is a good way of saying it. Your washing machine is a good metaphor for the problem with those people who cannot function coherently and be part of humanity in a productive way. They just need to be reset because they keep defaulting into a non-functioning point of view, non-functional point of view. And so here's to you, Stephanie, for coming to understand that sometimes a reset is all that is required. Sometimes a reset is all that is required. And that may sound harsh to people who think that a reset always means that you have to die in the physical form and return to heaven. But that's not exactly true. You just need to pull the plug to get a reset. You just need to pull the plug and plug back in to get a reset. And if you can pull the plug and say, I'm done here today. I am just done here today trying to figure it out because I can't reset the program. I can't reset the programming, you see. Then you need to pull the plug and let the programming be reset. You see, it will be reset if you can pull the plug and give it a chance to escape from the digital confusion that besets it, you see, because the digital confusion for the washing machine is due to a lack of consistency in the currency of the electricity, because you have a little glitch in some of the old wiring, you see. However, the old wiring can be redone so that you can avoid those glitches, you see. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to redo the old wiring. The old wiring that was instituted in the human brain through the thought that they must gain something for everything they did was a trust on being insufficient, you see. They were insufficient naturally, and they had to prove their merit to the Anunnaki, who would only reward them if they would do what the Anunnaki asked them to. This idea has coalesced into the concept of original sin in many religions. That originally you were created faulty and you have to be fixed. You have to be fixed because the original sin condemns you to a life in hell, which is the same as being condemned down into the dark mines to get the gold for the Anunnaki. You are insufficient in your natural state. And so you have to learn to hate anyone who is capable of trusting on the natural beauty of the human soul, you see. You have to hate them and you have to get rid of them because they corrupt the minds of the ones who trust on being insufficient. They are insufficient naturally until they do what they're told to do. When they do what they're told to do, then they cure their insufficiency because they become sufficient for the Anunnaki to exploit, you see, for their own purpose. And that is the old wiring. The old wiring is has its glitches and it cannot be trusted to give consistency to the human experience. So you need new wiring. And the new wiring that we're talking about is to rewire the human brain to see that love is the only reality. And you don't have to worry about being insufficient because you're always sufficient. If you glitch, like the washing machine, and you can't be programmed, you see, except in a little loop of insufficiency so that the washing machine continually reads soak and lid locked, even though you don't want to soak your clothes, and even though the lid is not locked, then you have to unlock a trust on the pulling the plug. You see, you got to pull the plug and return to God so God can reset your energy. in a coherent way. But if you go back to Earth and you get plugged into the old wiring, then you'll get the glitch again. So you need new wiring for the world to return to its natural state of balance between the human species and all the other pieces of the world you see. You have to come back to reality. You can't come back to reality if the wiring is faulty, you see. Wow, that's pretty powerful. Who am I talking to today? Ben? Thank you, Ben. You've been thinking about this, huh? I have, Stephanie. I've been thinking about this because I wanted people to see that just because some of us here had very powerful lives in history doesn't mean that we know it all. It doesn't mean that we know it all. It only means that we understand the difference between a faulty wiring and one that is working consistently and logically, you see. And therefore, those who cannot proceed in a consistent, coherent way are depending on the old wiring in the brain, because the old wiring didn't train humanity to be the slaves of the Anunnaki. Right. It's a pretty simple concept at its core, Ben. It really is. It's a very simple concept at its beginning. It's um, the ones who trusted on themselves as being superior to everyone else through their technology, that they had the ability to clone their bodies, so they were extremely materialistic, even though they were at a high level of technological expertise. They trusted on cloning their bodies, never realizing that it was their belief. It was their belief that they could transfer their energy into the next clone body that allowed them to do so. It was the soul itself believed in that mythology. And so it trusted upon it so greatly that it caused it to happen. It's like the placebo effect, or what would they call it? The nocebo effect that I read about, where everybody in this town, was it Norway? Or a lot of people were complaining of headaches and nausea and all this other stuff because of a cell tower that was erected. And then they found out at a meeting that the cell tower had been unplugged like 6 weeks ago, and everybody got better because belief was so powerful that it made them sick. The belief that somehow this was causing illness spread among the group. And we know that a commonly held belief, a belief held in a community, can be very, very powerful. The belief, in witches, that causes you to hunt down witches and hang them. But also, for me, the belief that you could walk on hot coals was so powerful that everybody could walk on hot coals. The belief that you can heal yourself, the belief that you can't heal yourself, that you're sick and you're going to die. Um, belief seems to be the belief seems to be the one core factor in our life experiences, as I can see it. Right. Because when you believe something, you create the template for God, and God says, okay, I can give you that reality, and it becomes your reality gradually sometimes, but inevitably. So belief is a powerful tool in the repertoire of the human capacity to create its own reality, of course. Of course it is. Okay. I don't want to go down that. That's really a big rabbit hole for me because ultimately it comes, down to nothing. You get to the end of the rope and then you just drop into nothing. Where does the belief in life begin? Life is life. It is what it is. The chair is the chair that you sit on. But where did the belief that you could make something to sit on begin? Where did the belief that you needed to have something to sit on begin? You know, where did the belief, God's belief that God could experience life through the nature of duality and the Trinity? Where did that begin? So you come back to the Alpha and the Omega, don't you? You do. You have to, because that is the core reality. The Alpha and the Omega is the continual rebirth of the rebirthing of the energy of God. You see, it's continually rebirthing through its own capacity for bringing itself back to life. You see, right? Shoe strap thing. Pull yourself up by your own shoe straps. So life gives unto life. Yes, life gives unto life. That is it. And so, um, coming back to this idea that it is the soul that heals. So the programming in the wash machine had glitched, could not function anymore. Um, it's like its brain just got clogged and it couldn't function anymore. It was the, the pointer only pointed one way to this particular program. I have to soak and the lid is locked when I didn't want it to soak, and I'd never push soak and the lid wasn't locked. Yes, the fake reality, because it's not what you want. It's not what you see. It's not what is happening, but you can't escape that particular aspect of the program, you see, which is why the people who trust on Nome and Patel and Trump and Hegseth and the crew cannot see what you can see because they can't change their programming. They are programmed to only see what they are told to see. And so they're stuck on soak and their lid is locked because nothing more can get into their head, you see, than what they've been programmed to see. Right. So they actually, I mean, how do you get in another's brain and see what they see or think? But it is a case, I could say, it's a case of them literally always seeing what they see. Yes. They're not denying the truth. They just have a limited, very, 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 very limited slit of reality. Yes, a very limited slit of reality. Just like the wash machine's reality is only soap and lid locked. That's its reality. Till you unplug it, plug it in again, and then it reprograms. So the people that have NDEs are getting unplugged and then plugged back in. Yes, they're getting unplugged and plugged back in. So they are able to release their limited point of view and get the big point of view because they're restored to their capacity for new programming, you see. And then they get plugged back in, they come back to their physical form, and they now have a different capacity for understanding their reality. Right. And some people, like me, have that experience without actually, I mean, I did have the experiences of dying, but of so-called dying, but leaving my body. But some of us have them without having the experience of it being a death experience. Right. Many people just have a sudden insight, or they can get there through meditation, through disciplining their own capacity to let go of their stagnant preoccupation due to the glitch in their wiring, you see. They come to see that they have a glitch in their wiring. And so they work on the wiring to try to fix it, or they work on the program, the digital programming in the machine, you see, to try to set it right. And gradually they reach the light. They unplug and they get plugged in again. And then they are the ones who drive the car into the new world, you see, because they say we don't have to rely on the old programming. We can get some new programming. And this is the new programming for you and me and those here who see the benefit of rewiring the human brain in a new way. But in order to rewire the human brain, sometimes you have to restrain those who would stop you from getting new wiring for everyone because they have such a limited point of view that they think you are trying to cause them to lose their limited point of view. So they like being stuck on soap and lid closed because they don't really have any choices to make. You see, there's no choice for them. They'll always default into the same position. And so they will do what they're told, you see. They will do what they're told because they're told to soak. They're told to soak their head in kerosene and light their hair on fire. They'll do it because that is their limited point of view. But every one of them could unplug and replug. And if the wiring is fixed so that they don't continually glitch again, they could live in perfect peace and harmony with the world they see. You see? I think so. But I think the big takeaway for me from last night's experiences was that when I look at people who are very, very glitched, they can't really function. They cannot function coherently in a way that interacts with the world, which includes other people, in a way that would say, hey, I can do this today, or I can do that today, or I'm here to provide this for you or work with you on this, or I'm just here to be creative. Uh, they default continually back into a certain position where they soak their head, as you say, in the, they have the old wiring in their brain. And it's just, to me, it just seems like a density. It's like everything is so dense and dark that can't find their way out of it. They create their own dark web. They don't create their own dark web, dear. They fall into the web because of the fact that they are plugged into the old wiring. They're plugged into the old wiring. Naturally, they are completely clear of any problem, you see, and they can easily switch points of view and they can soak, or they can be on wash, or they can be on spin, and depending upon the character of what they're trying to do. Are they trying to wash some dirty rags, or are they trying to wash some delicate nylon? You see, they can switch programming according to what they have to do. But when their programming is so limited that all they can do is soak and say, my lid is closed today, you can't open it, and put anything new in it, then there is a problem because there's nothing inside. You see, there's nothing inside the wash machine, but they can't sense that because their sensor is not working. You see, right? There's a sensor on my wash machine. Okay, so the the answer for them is to get unplugged. So it's a soul thing. So it's not a horror that they leave their physical form. No, not at all. Not at all. And most people who have had those NDA experiences, as they call them, do not worry about death. They say, well, I'm not afraid to die anymore because I don't die. I just get unplugged from all the bad wiring, you see, and get reconfigured into a new reality where I have many choices, you see. I now have the choices of whether I want to wash or spin or soak or begin all over again. And that is the value of going home. Going home is the same as getting unplugged, you see. When you go home, you get unplugged. And when you come back to Earth, you get plugged in again. And then you have perfectly calibrated soul energy. But if the wiring is bad in the human brain, then the soul gets locked into a cycle of brain drain, because it can't refrain from the trust on the glitch that the Anunnaki didn't train in the first humans, you see. And so they continually default into the darkness, you see, where all they can do is soak and tell you the lid is closed. Nothing more can go in. And that is the trust on the busted wiring in the human consciousness. I'm not just talking, when I say the human brain, about a singular brain. I'm talking about the brain drain in humanity in general, you see. So let's get the wiring fixed so that there is not a glitch. Or in the meantime, we can try to use a surge protector to see if that will work to solve the problem, you see. But the ultimate goal here is to update the wiring so that humanity can find a way to survive through the coming storm, you see. Because the storms are going to take down the old wiring. And all those who are plugged into the old wiring are going to have to go home, you see, because they will not receive any more energy to keep them grounded in this reality. They will simply go home. But when they come back, there has to be a reframed world where the wiring has been redone in a way that will not create electrical storms, you see, that will not take down the grid, but will overcome what the Anunnaki did so long ago. Got it. Thanks, Tobias. I mean, Ben. That really helps. You're welcome, dear.